Hi, hello everyone, and welcome to our educational channel. So today, we're diving into a crucial topic: navigating a future trends, agriculture policy, and development in the Philippines. So before we begin, I want to extend a special invitation to all of you to support our channel by liking, subscribing, and following. Your support not only helps us grow, but also allows us to continue bringing you more insightful contents like this one. So if you are passionate about sustainability and eager to learn more, so please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notification for our future videos. So together, let's embark on this journey towards a more sustainable future in agriculture. So for our introduction about this topic, as we embark on our journey and we explore the dynamic landscape of agriculture policy and development in the Philippines, and for our stewards of the land and guardians of food security, which is our farmers, our agriculturists, it is imperative for us to grasp the evolving trends and craft a strategic policies to steer the sector towards a more sustainable and more prosperous agriculture industry. So we need to understand what is our current landscape, but we need to go back from the history. So let's take a look about the overview of the Philippine agriculture sector, which contributes a very significant to our economy. So the legacy of agriculture in the Philippines has a rich heritage dating back to pre-colonial times. So before Magellan came into the Philippines, characterized by indigenous farming practices and diverse crop cultivation methods. The colonial influences, particularly Spanish and American, shaped the agricultural landscape, introducing a new crops, mostly cash crops, new farming techniques, and also new policies in terms of land tenure system. So its economic significance, the agriculture has been a what we call a driving force behind the Philippine economy, contributing a significantly to GDP and employment. Historically, agriculture served as the backbone of the Philippine economy. It provides livelihoods to millions of rural inhabitants. So that is why it is very important for us to consider and recognize the contribution of our farmers, just like other professionals in the industry. Its economic contribution, despite the declining share of agriculture in GDP over the years. So, can you imagine our country is an agricultural country and our agriculture industry is declining? So, what is happening? It remains a crucial sector, particularly in terms of employment and poverty alleviation. Agriculture contributes to food security, rural development, and income generation, especially in agrarian regions. Okay, so let's take a look at of its sectoral overview. The Philippine agriculture is diverse, encompassing crop production, livestock farming, poultry fisheries, and forestry. So our key crops include the following: our staple crop, which is rice, our corn, coconut, sugarcane, and bananas, with rice being the staple food crop. So, in our technological advancement, the adoption of modern agricultural technologies such as precision farming, drones, and biotechnology is expected to enhance the productivity and efficiency. Digital platforms and LOT applications are poised to revolutionize agricultural practices, enabling data-driven decision making and resource optimization. So let's proceed to the sustainable practices. The sustainable agriculture practices, including our organic farming, our agroforestry, and integrated pest management, which are gaining a traction as means to mitigate environmental degradation and ensure a long-term viability. So that is why we are encouraging the sustainable practices in order for us to preserve our natural environment. So this, as what I mentioned, are some of the practices that somehow would mitigate the environmental impact from our agriculture. And also our climate smart agriculture techniques such as drought resistant crops and water saving irrigation systems will become increasingly important in the face of climate change. So in the market dynamics, the global market trends. So what is trending nowadays in our modern generation, our consumer preferences, and also the trade agreements between countries will influence the demand for the Philippine agriculture products. And that is why we need to um, empower our farmers so that we can be able to compete from the uh, foreign market. So that is why these value-added products are being pushed by the Department of Trade and Industry in order for us to process also our commodities and add a much higher value so that we can be able to penetrate our niche markets and also establish our branding. And with having a solid branding, this will present an opportunities for the diversification and also the premium pricing. If you have a good branding, a good packaging, you can be able to penetrate every market segments that is part of the being diversified. And with that, you can reach a premium market that are willing to pay a higher price for exchange of a higher quality product. Then let's proceed to the policy recommendation. So if you can see in this illustration, you can see the initiative of our government in farm to market roads. So these are the investments in rural infrastructure. So including the irrigation systems, farm to market roads, and post harvest facilities. So these are very crucial to improve our market access and reduce the post harvest losses. Enhancing the connectivity and logistics will also facilitate the flow of agricultural goods from production areas to markets. And then let's proceed to the research and extension services. Um, in strengthening the agricultural research institutions and extension services, for these institutions are the one making a new innovative product, innovative practices, and being extended to our these technologies are being extended to our farmers. It serves its purpose to promote this technology, and at the same time, our farmers will have the ability to adapt and they will be able to disseminate these best practices to be more efficient in farming practices, and at the same time will provide a technical assistance to our farmers. And the collaborative research efforts with universities, private sector partners, and international organizations can drive an innovation and knowledge transfer to our farmers. And also the policy reforms and inclusive growth. So the policy reform should be prioritize the needs of our smallholder farmers, since majority of our agricultural setup are a that belongs to small scale. So that is why we need to um, innovate and also to check a policy that will empower or cluster this group of farmers, a what we call marginalized communities, and these people group of farmers needs a policy support, ensuring the equitable access to resources, markets, and also support services. And at the same time, incentives for our agribusiness development, our value chain integration, and market linkages can spur inclusive growth and poverty reduction in rural areas. So here's our references for our part one. Then, in our agricultural sector overview, as part of this is our crop production. So, identification of key subsector like our crop production, livestock, and fisheries. So, if we talk about crop production, it involves the cultivation of a various crops, and that is intended for food or fiber and other industrial purposes. So, the key crops are our rice, our corn, sugarcane, coconut, bananas, mangoes, pineapples, vegetables, and root crops like cassava and sweet potatoes. Since these are the dominant crops or commodities that is vital to our agricultural sector. Rice is a staple food in our country with significant production and consumption levels. In our livestock, um, this one includes the raising and breeding for meat. The animals are for meat, milk, and other products. Major livestock species in the Philippines include our poultry, our chicken, ducks, and quails, swine, cattle, either beef or for dairy, our carabao, that is commonly water buffalo, goats, and sheep. Poultry farming, particularly chicken and duck production, is a significant component of the livestock sector, providing a major source of protein for Filipinos. And then for our fisheries. The fisheries subsector plays a crucial role in the Philippine agricultural industry, given the country's extensive coastline and rich marine resources. So the major fish species included our milkfish, commonly known as our bangus, tilapia, tuna, sardines, mackerel, shrimps, crabs, mollusks like oyster, and mussels. Fisheries contribute significantly to food security and livelihoods, particularly in coastal and fishing communities, since the Philippines is surrounded by a body of water. And that's why fisheries is one of the very important component of our agricultural sector. And also our forestry. The forestry subsector involves the sustainable management and utilization of forest resource for timber production, non-timber forest products, and environmental conservation. Activities include timber harvesting. So by harvesting the timber, what's next? There should be a what we call reforestation. They should always a cycle of establishing and giving back to nature, or else all of our timber will lost, and it could lead to a significant uh, consequences from the nature. Then our forest protection. There should be a forest protection in order for us not to abuse and exploit our natural resources in forestry. And at the same time, ecotourism development. Since the Philippines has a very rich biodiversity, and if we cannot be able to protect and develop our biodiversity, it might last forever. The forest products include our timber, the rattan. Rattan is very expensive. Bamboo is somehow very important and useful in uh, many ways. Our medical plants and various non-timber products that are used to for handicrafts, traditional medicines, and um, many more. Then our agribusiness and value-added products. So the agribusiness encompasses the processing, the marketing, and the distribution of our agricultural products and inputs. So the value-added products, which refers to processed agricultural goods with enhanced products, snacks, beverages, and condiments. Agribusiness activities also include input supply like seeds, fertilizers, and pesticides, and agricultural machinery and equipment, and agricultural financing and insurance services. So, in our identification of key subsector, so these key subsectors, as what I discussed, no, the crop production, livestock, and fisheries contribute a very significant to our diversity, productivity, and the resilience of the Philippine agricultural sector, supporting livelihoods, food security, and economic development throughout the country. Next is our technology integration as part of our future trends in shaping of our agriculture. So exploring the role of technology, like for example, our precision agriculture, biotechnology, and enhancing the productivity and sustainability. So let's talk about the precision agriculture. First, the precision agriculture involves the use of technologies such as GPS, drones, and sensors to optimize farm management practices and maximize efficiency. By precisely monitoring and managing factors like soil moisture, nutrient levels, and crop health, farmers can reduce inputs usage and minimize the waste and increase yields. The precision agriculture also enables a what we call site-specific crop management, allowing the farmers to tailor inputs and treatment based on various uh, variations within the field, ultimately leading to improved resource utilization and sustainability. Then our biotechnology as part of the future trends. Biotechnology, this offers innovative solutions to enhance the crop productivity, resilience, and nutritional value through genetic engineering and molecular breeding techniques. In the Philippines, biotechnology has been utilized in the development of genetically modified crops as insect resistant like BT corn and pest resistant BT eggplant. But this is somehow a controversial topic. There are opposing group of people that are not in favor of this type of technology. Okay, there is some ethical consideration regarding this. So these biotech crops have demonstrated increased yields. Yes, it reduced pesticide usage and improved farmer livelihood, that contributing to agricultural sustainability and food security. And you cannot deny their contribution in terms of productivity, but the method somehow there are group of people that are strongly against this type of technology. Okay, so we might discuss this in another topic. And then our Internet of Things. So it's part of our technology integration. So Internet of Things refers to the interconnected network of the devices and sensors that collect and exchange data, enabling the real-time monitoring and decision-making in agricultural operations. So the LOT applications in agriculture include smart irrigation system, weather monitoring stations, and livestock tracking devices, and crop monitoring drones. By leveraging the LOT technology, farmers can optimize resource management, detect crop disease and pest early, and improve the overall farm productivity and minimize environmental impact. So here's our references. Then let's proceed to the sustainable practices. So discussing the importance of sustainable agriculture, the organic farming, agroecology, conservation practices in mitigating the environmental degradation. So in sustainable agriculture, it encompassing the practices such as organic farming, the agroecology, and conservation practices. So this it plays a very critical role in mitigating the environmental degradation. So they somehow slow stop or slower it down the degradation of our environment through these methods and promoting a long-term ecological balance. So let's delve into the importance of it in addressing our environmental concerns. First, it preserves a soil. So this is a preservation of our soil health. So the sustainable agriculture practices, it prioritizes soil health by promoting organic matter accumulation. Unlike in our traditional practices like our kaingin, which is commonly being practiced in some of the marginal areas where farmers does not understand its impact to the environment. In this practice, the sustainable agriculture, which are more concerned with soil health, they are preserving this what we call organic matter accumulation. This method will minimize the soil erosion and at the same time enhance the soil structure. So the soil structure has a very diverse topic, but the importance of this, we need to understand that by having a sustainable agricultural practices, we need to focus on the soil fertility in the long term. And by that, it can only be achieved in doing a sustainable agricultural practices like organic farming. So these organic farming techniques, which promotes a composting, at the same time crop rotation, and also doing a cover cropping. So these are the part of the organic farming techniques that are helping our um, soil health, which contributes to soil fertility and resilience in the long term, reducing the need for chemical inputs. The agroecological approaches, which emphasize the ecological principles and biodiversity that foster soil biodiversity and nutrient cycling, resulting in improved soil health and productivity. So, the importance of this is that our sustainable agriculture promotes a organic organic method, and it promotes a what we call organic soil or organic farming method, and it promotes a soil fertility in the long term. And with this, as part of this, of our sustainable practices, we also have a conservation of water resources. Includes our sustainable agriculture that focuses on efficient water management to conserve precious freshwater resources and mitigate the water pollution. Practices like drip irrigation, water harvesting, and water saving crop varieties that help optimize our water use efficiency and minimize the irrigation runoff. And the agroecological system with their emphasis on water harvesting techniques and diversified cropping patterns that promote resilience to drought and enhance water infiltration and retention in soils. Then our biodiversity conservation. The sustainable agriculture that supports biodiversity conservation by preserving the natural habitats, promoting agro biodiversity, and minimizing the use of synthetic chemicals, organic farming methods which skews the synthetic pesticides and fertilizers. So by these practices, we can be able to remove synthetics in our practices, which creates a habitat for beneficial insects, birds, and soil organisms, contributing to the ecosystem resilience. The agroecological practices such as agroforestry, intercropping, and polyculture enhance the habitat diversity and ecological connectivity, and supporting a wide array of plant and animal species. And then our climate change mitigation. The sustainable agriculture contributes to climate change mitigation by reducing the greenhouse gas emission, sequestering carbon in soils, and enhancing a carbon sinks. Organic farming practices with their emphasis on soil carbon sequestration can offset carbon emission and contribute to climate change adaptation. Agroecological systems, by promoting diversified cropping system and agroforestry, will enhance the ecosystem resilience to climate variability and extremes. Then let's proceed to the uh, sustainable practices that highlights the policies in promoting the sustainable practices and their impact. First is the Organic Agriculture Promotion Act, or the Republic Act number 10068. This Philippine law promotes organic farming by providing incentives, support, and infrastructure for organic agriculture development. So the impact of this, the organic agriculture program under this act has led to an increase in the adoption of organic farming practices. It's widely nationwide. There are a lot of farms that are dedicated to incorporate the organic practices, resulting in reduced chemical inputs and improve their soil health and higher market demand for our organic products. Then our national greening program, Executive Order number 26. The National Greening Program that aims to reforest our degraded area and promote a biodiversity conservation and enhance our environmental resilience. The impact of this policy is that by planting millions of trees and establishing a forest protection measures, the program has contributed to carbon sequestration, watershed protection, and habitat restoration, and thereby mitigating environmental degradation and supporting our sustainable land management. Then our climate change adaptation and mitigation program for agriculture. That is Republic Act number 9729. This program integrates the climate change adaptation and mitigation strategies into agricultural planning and development. Impact is by this initiative of our government, it promotes a climate smart agriculture practices such as water saving irrigation systems, drought resistant crops, and agroforestry. The program enhances the resilience of agricultural systems to climate variability and extremes, reducing the vulnerability and enhancing the productivity. Next is our Ecological Solid Waste Management Act, or the Republic Act number 9003. This law promotes waste reduction, recycling, and composting to minimize our environmental pollution and promote the resource efficiency. So its impact, by implementing waste segregation, recycling programs, and composting facilities, the law reduces the landfill waste. It also minimizes soil and water contamination and promotes the use of organic fertilizers in agriculture, thereby supporting the sustainable land management and improving the soil health and our environment. Then our Sustainable Fisheries Development Program. So the Philippine government implements various policies and programs to promote sustainable fisheries. the management, including fisheries regulations, the marine protected areas, and community-based resources management initiatives. So the impact of this sustainable fisheries development program, it reduces the overfishing, and by this, it promotes a sustainable fishing practices. And these programs also helps preserve marine biodiversity and also enhance our fish stocks and support the livelihoods of our coastal communities that which contributing to the long-term sustainability of our fisheries resources. Okay, so we will continue for our next topic. Okay,